Regina, when I first arrived in 2006, Regina came into our safe house. It was kind of a makeshift safe house. We hadn't built dormitories yet because we just started slowly. But Regina was at such high risk that we knew we needed to intervene. And so we brought she and another little girl named Nibel to live with us. And Regina, her village was raided when she was 3, and she and her grandmother escaped, but her parents were trafficked, and they were brought to the north of Sudan, which was the common. This is along the border region of the 2 countries, and there was a lot of human trafficking between the north and the south. And they learned later that en route, the mother and father were killed. And so she became a total orphan and was under the protective care of her grandmother. But 2 years later, her grandmother died of unknown diseases. And without medical care, we just don't know a lot of the times what's affecting. But we know waterborne diseases are common. That's exactly right. And so at 5 years old, Regina was fending for herself. And at that time, we began working in their village. And so there was beginning to be word spread that there was opportunities for vulnerable children, that they could go and have an option. And so Regina was brought to live at our compound. There were 3 other children that were at high risk that we also intercepted for, 2 boys, 2 girls. Nibel was the other little girl, and she was also an orphan, and her aunt was going to sell her into slavery. She found out and was ready to escape, but her aunt burnt all of her clothing so that she wouldn't leave. The tupel is her hut. She was around 12 years old. And just the desperation. Families often sell expendable children just because of deep desperation and a lot of trauma that they've experienced too. But Nibel ran naked through the village to our compound because she had a place that she could go to, and she was rescued, and we were able to intersect in her life too. And because of the deep trauma, because of the deep trauma, Nibel didn't stay with our program. She stayed for about 5 years, but then when she was around 17, 18, she decided to leave. And that can be quite common. When you rescue a child early, even though they might not have been trafficked, there's just so much trauma that in a war zone that you experience. So when you rescue a child early, you can help them a lot more, statistically, not 100% rule, but you can help them a lot more in their reintegration process. Regina graduated from our high school program in 2018. And so now she's on a path towards going to university. We keep the students in universities in South Sudan or in Uganda so that they can be change makers in their communities afterwards. But yeah, it's really exciting. So we've graduated. 2016 was the first year we had our first high school graduation, and we've been graduating students each year. It grows in number each year, which is really an honor because illiteracy is such a high rate. They're often the first literate in their whole families for generations. So one of the biggest ways that we're making impacts, we can only do a little slowly and a little, but it matters for Regina, and it matters for all of the children that we've been able to intercept for. But there are bigger things that we can all take part in. Stateside, the Rotary Club, even your club here, and the other clubs that you represent, just identifying it. You already do some of the feeding programs that you offer, or the homeless shelters that you're working with, or the young children, the young students that you mentor, and that are, what are they called? Rotary? Rotarex?
Yes, the college Rotary.
The ways that you're giving back here many of them are identifying some of the vulnerabilities that people within the United States or in these 5 boroughs are trafficked. So the the homeless, the vulnerabilities that we discussed earlier, that there are major ways that you're giving back here by just intercepting for the most vulnerable in your community.